Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
मैम म्यूट कीजिए सर का माइक अनम्यूट नहीं शायद से ओनली वीडियो दिख रहा है बस। हाँ सर तुमचा माईक अनम्यूट करा सर ते माईक दिसत नाहीये फक्त व्हिडिओ दिसतोय सॉरी इथे माईकचं ऑप्शन येत नाही सर तुमचं।
गौरव सरांना बोलतोय का?
हो सरांना बोलतोय सर।
ठीक आहे.
सर एकदा परत रिजॉईनिंग करा सर। सर एकदा परत डिस्कनेक्ट करून परत जॉईन करा सर मीटिंग। सर एकदा परत लिव्ह करा सर मीटिंग लिव्ह करून परत जॉईन करा सर तुमचा माईक दिसत नाही सर। बेहेरे सर तुम्ही एकदा माईक तुमचा काय करा सर एकदा लिव्ह करून परत जॉईन करा सर मीटिंग त्यात माईक दिसत नाही तुमचं एकदम माईकला ना अलाउ करा सर तेव्हाच ते दिसेल माईक येते।
मायक्रोफोन तिथं ते हे जोडावं लागेल का?
हो ते सरांकडे असेल सर सिस्टम ती।
हा हा सांगून द्या.
सर तुमचा फक्त व्हिडिओ दिसतोय सर फक्त एकदा लिव्ह करून परत जॉईन करा सर मीटिंग। चव्हाण सर
गौरव
सर त्यांना एकदा फोन करा सर त्यांना इथे आवाज जात नाही आपला।
बर बर ठीक आहे.
त्यांना फक्त सांगा सर ते परत इन करा म्हणा परत जॉईन करा जॉईन सर तुम्ही इथं मीटिंग लिव्ह करून परत जॉईन करा सर. सर तुमचं माईक अनम्यूट करा सर.
काय करू?
येस सर आवाज येतो माझा?
तुमचा आवाज येतो. मी काय
Yes, yes.
करायचं सांगा. हा
झालंय सर आता फक्त तुमची पीपीटी शेअर करा सर.
हा स्क्रीन शेअर करू का?
हो स्क्रीन शेअर
स्क्रीन शेअर करा सर, स्क्रीन शेअर करा. बाकी ओके
हा.
आहे सगळं.
हा.
थँक्यू सर.
ओके.
येस सर.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
माईक अनम्यूट कीजिए मैम. तो 25.
सर आणखी अनम्यूट झाले.
हा सर झालं. ओके थँक्यू.
सर अनम्यूट झाले सर.
एक मिनिट.
सर म्यूट झाले सर. अनम्यूट
सर अनम्यूट करा सर.
गौरव तुमच्याकडून करा सरांना अनम्यूट.
हा
हा
ओके.
Should I
Okay, sir.
start,
Welcome.
sir? I'm here
Welcome.
for introductory
हा.
speech.
ठीक आहे. इज इट
यस सर,
ओके?
यस सर,
हा.
यस सर, यस सर, यस
हा.
सर. ओके, वेलकम सर. थँक्यू.
हा.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University and UGC-MMTTC, it's my absolute honor and privilege to welcome our distinguished academician and passionate researcher speaker, Dr. Subhash Behere. Dr. Behere has had an eminent career dedicating decades to the field of physics and scientific research. He retired in 2010 as a professor and former head of Department of Physics at Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University, Aurangabad. He also served as director at the UGC Academic Staff College, where he played a pivotal role in shaping the academic and professional growth of countless educators by conducting numerous refresher and orientation courses. His academic journey began with the MSc in Physics in 1971 with a first rank, followed by PhD in 1978. His research interests span upon high-resolution spectroscopy, fractal growth and simulations, noise pollutions due to vehicular traffic, and spy studies. A true innovator, he was instrumental in the construction and fabrication of a 35-feet concave grating spectrograph, a remarkable achievement in experimental physics. Dr. Behere has mentored around 24 PhD scholars, published around 65 research papers, and presented over 100 papers at national and international conferences. His commitment to scientific progress is further reflected in his associations with IUCAA, BARC, and Indian Science Congress, where he served as the sectional president of Physics Sciences in 2010. Beyond his research, he is dedicated science communicator, delivering 62 radio talks on All India Radio, writing thought-provoking articles in English, Hindi, and Marathi, and actively engaging in public science outreach. He is a life member of ICF, IPA, ILA, IAPT, Marathi Vignan Parishad, and Marathwada Sahitya Parishad. Currently, he continues to share his wisdom as an adjunct professor at Saurashtra University, a visiting professor at Shivaji University, Kolhapur, and formerly at SGB Amravati University. Beyond academia, Dr. Behere has diverse interests including stamp collection, bird watching, and Indian classical music, a true testament of his well-rounded personality. So, with such inspiring legacy and wealth of knowledge, we are truly privileged to have him with us today. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Dr. Subhash Behere.
Hello, good morning. Am I audible to all the participants? सगळ्यांना ऐकू येतं काय? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Am I audible
Yes,
to
sir.
all? Huh? Can you listen? Can you see?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are
Yes.
audible, clearly audible.
Yes, yes,
Thank you, sir.
yes. Mm. So, thank you for such a wonderful introduction. I don't deserve to that, but since coordinator is my good friend, he has asked me to deliver a talk on disaster management. So let me also welcome all the delegates participating in this refresher course from different places and coming from different background. So maybe this is an inhomogeneous mixture of all the disciplines. And so I have tried to talk in terms of very simple techniques, although there are some technical words and technical definitions. So after welcome, I also feel to thank my director of this HRDC, Professor Satish Patil, and of course the person who is looking after this course, the coordinator, Professor Ram Chauhan, Muhammad Rafi, all the staff of HRDC, and of course to all the participants audience. Thank you. In the beginning, it is a pleasure to thank you all. Let me begin with my favorite slide. Here is one teacher invited to give a talk. Maybe he seems to be a physics teacher, and there are no hairs on his head like me, and therefore he starts with some mathematical equations on the blackboard, which you may not be able to see. And the effect on the audience, you can see here. The girl is reading the book of her choice, maybe Harry Potter or Panchatantra or whatever stories she likes. The another fellow is interested in aeroplane making and he wanted to be an aeronautical engineer. The third person is under the impression of Sri Ramdev Baba. He has started Shirshasana in the class. Another fellow is sleeping in the classroom because he is not understanding what the speaker is talking about. Another fellow is turning his back and again sleeping. So this is 2-in-1 activity. Nishedani, utilization of time for good cause, he's sleeping. And all the things are going in the class. And the teacher or the speaker feels that what is happening? Whether I am a person coming from different planet or whether I am a dinosaur, why the audience is behaving like this? The message is for the teachers, and all of you are teachers, that if you don't prepare your subject, if you don't make it interesting without losing the gravity of the topic, then these things can happen in your class. So be careful about all this and prepare for your lecture. Okay, let us talk something about this disaster. First of all, we will decide or we will say what is disaster. There are two important definitions. One is defined by the World Health Organization, WHO, and another definition is given by the American Red Cross Society, that the disaster can be defined as any occurrence that cause damage to ecological disruption, loss of human life, deterioration of health and health services on a larger scale, sufficient to warrant an extraordinary response from the outside, the affected community of an area. That is the definition given by the World Health Organization. And the American Red Cross Society says that a disaster can be defined as an occurrence, either natural or man-made, that causes human suffering and create humans' need that victims cannot alleviate without assistance. These are the two main definitions of disaster. Now, why disasters are deadly and why it needs a management? That is a question. Because, see, the deadliness because of enormous population pressure and urbanization. If any mishap happens, which is called disaster, a large chunk of population is at risk. Many people, they will lose their lives or they will be disabled. So this is a population pressure comes into picture. Then due to flood or a drought or an earthquake, millions of people are affected each time. Either they are dead or they are disabled or their property is lost. Many things can happen. And the large-scale displacement and the loss of life, loss of property and agricultural crops. Some of the natural disasters, people have to rehabilitate. They have to move from one place to another place. And then the agricultural land is sometimes destroyed and the property is destroyed in, say, earthquake like that. So these things make this what you call disasters very deadly. Now, disaster effects. Main effect is the large amount of people, they die. Deaths is the first very bad effect. Many people, they get injured, disability for life. Some people lose their hands, legs, something like that. Some people can't speak. Any type of deformities in the body. Then increase in communicable disease. Sometimes a disease starts, eruption of the disease. Then those who have witnessed this event or mishap, they have a effect on their brain. They go mad. All these are psychological problems because a large amount of people, when they die, you are disturbed. So that creates psychological problems. Sometimes no food is available, food shortage. Okay. Then the socio-economic losses, human relations are disturbed. Shortage of drugs and medical supplies. Sometimes drugs are exhausted. If there is no proper chain of supply, then the medical aid is not possible because drugs are in short. And environmental disruption because the environment is disturbed. So all these things, they are the effect of the disasters. Now you can classify this disaster in various ways. Geological hazards. Okay, they are related to geological aspects. For example, earthquakes. You cannot control it is happening by geological problems. So earthquakes, then tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, landslides, all these phenomena are related to geological hazards. Then the next group comes due to climatic hazards. For example, the tropical cyclones, okay, floods, droughts, sometimes ample water, rains, sometimes no water at all. So cyclones, floods, and droughts, they are called climatic hazards. Third is something about environmental hazards. Environmental pollution, sometimes the river is polluted, sometimes the lake is polluted, and there is no go for you if there is no alternative. Okay. Sometimes air is very of poor quality. All these problems are related to the environmental pollution. Then deforestation. People are cutting trees like anything. Okay. Either for timber or for making the land useful for agricultural or for some means other. So that deforestation has very bad effects. Then desertification. Deserts are expanding. And the pest infestation. Sometimes pests, टोल झाड ज्याला म्हणतो आपण, किंवा some type of disease on particular, say, crops. This all comes under the environmental hazards. Now, besides this, there are few man-made hazards. These man-made hazards are also of equal importance. And for example, one way you are advancing in technology, science, but it is a complete package. You cannot take only benefits of science and technology. There are also the hazards associated with it. For example, the industrial and technological hazards. Sometimes system failures. Sometimes these accidents caused due to the system failures. Spillage. Sometimes some gas is leaked from some industry or some big plant. Then the explosions. Then fire in the industry and all that. Then wars and civil. There are some armed aggressions, insurgency, terrorism, and this is causing what you call a fight between the two countries or something. Then it becomes a war. Okay. Then epidemics, साथीचे रोग, water or foodborne diseases. Okay, which are spread due to the contacts between person to person, and some of them are vector-borne diseases. All these come under this category of man-made diseases. And what they involve? They involve many interesting things. Dealing with and avoiding both natural and man-made disasters. Can we reduce them? Can we avoid disasters? Okay. Then if the disaster takes place, how to manage with them? That is called preparedness before the disaster. Assuming that some disaster is going to happen, what precautions must be taken? That comes under this topic of preparedness. Then rebuilding and supporting society after natural disasters. Support, earthquake comes, or the tsunami comes, or a cyclone comes. Then after the disaster is over, you have to see how people are rehabilitated, how the system damage, power supply, water supply, they are again restored. And that is called rebuilding and supporting the society by providing all these facilities which are damaged. So disaster management there comes into picture. So here you can see the list of so many disasters which I have summarized so far. Earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, landslides, cyclones, floods, droughts, and then comes some of the mishaps like railroad accidents. Because when the country is large, when the population is very large, naturally you have to communicate from one place to another, either for freight, the good transport, or human transport. Accidents may occur, and these accidents also come under the disasters. Fires in industrial and high-rise buildings. Now, increasing population, they need the housing, and you cannot just have just a single house without any story. Therefore, high-rise buildings are coming into megacities. Sometimes you can have 24 to 30 different type of, say, high-rise buildings, floors. And whenever there are large number of floors of the building, and if the fire breaks in on the top floor, say 24th floor, Then to reach at that point, to extinguish the fire is a difficult task unless and you have all the technologies like a fire brigade ladders and so that. Otherwise, it is very difficult. So fires in industries and high-rise buildings, chemical and biological warfares. Now, besides the nuclear warfare, another warfare is very important. That is just spread some type of, say, disease. Okay. And then this comes under the biological warfare. Sometimes people say COVID also a type of biological indirect war. Okay. Then the pollution related and nuclear disasters, I will be talking on that in my next half if possible. And and all these disasters, they need to be attended. So all these disasters, how they are to be managed, what precautions should be taken, okay, what are the agencies, how the preparedness should be done, what are the after effects, all these things could be discussed. And industrial and technical disasters, all they come one by one, we can see them. Now let us say, let us see this slide where in our India, how many people we lost, or what to say, what was the uh, problems and how much, what were the losses. So there is a data of last 71 years due to flood, droughts, and because of other disasters. And this was something 6 lakh crores. So if you take the budget of UP, old one, and MP budget, if you sum them, it may come to that order. So you can have drought, flood, cyclone, earthquake, then epidemics, heat waves, and landslides. All these are the disasters, and you can have the statistics of that. And only projecting the statistics has no meaning, but how we have to reduce this. Okay. So this is one of the slides which I have collected from the newspapers. Now let us start with a new type of disaster erupting, that is called disaster due to stampede. गर्दीमुळे चेंगराचेंगरीमुळे होणारे जे disasters आहेत, they are very important. Stampede, because there is a huge population or huge mob for any popular event in the country. Maybe some hero or the filmy heroine, they are coming to your city, or a pilgrimage like what we call Mahakumbh, which we recently visited at Prayagraj, or people going to any place of pilgrim, Tirth Yatra. So there is a possibility, or sometimes rush in distributing kadi sadi वाटपचा कार्यक्रम असतो. When times free something is given to the people, so people gather there, and everybody wanted to get the benefit as early as possible. So there is no discipline, and therefore stampede. So let us address this stampede, what happens. So one by one, we will see stampede, volcano, tsunamis, all that. I'm starting with the stampede first. Now in our country, there was one episode happened, disaster in 2005 at Mandhar Devi, and which is in Maharashtra, and 291 people died in this Bishop disaster. In 2008, at Vaishno Devi Yatra in Himachal Pradesh, there was a disaster killing 162 people. 2008, Chamunda Devi Temple in Rajasthan, there was a stampede and 224 people died. And 2010 at Pratapgarh, UP, disaster killed 63 persons. 2013, Ratangarh, MP, 115 people lost their lives. 2013, Prayagraj, railway station, Uttar Pradesh, 37 people were killed. In 2017, Elphinstone Road railway station, Bombay, Maharashtra. And bridge collapse or something, 22 people, they lost their life. 2022, Vaishno Devi Yatra, Himachal Pradesh, 121 people died. Hathras in 25, UP, this year only, 121 people died. 25, again this year, Tirupati, only 6 people, but it was a mission. And again, a recent disaster was at Mahakumbh, Prayagraj, 25. Okay, this year only. Officially, 30 people, they are died. So these are some of the disasters which I have taken from a newspaper. And you can see, especially at the pilgrimage, मंदिराच्या ठिकाणी किंवा तीर्थयात्रेला जातात, there are many type of disasters taking place. Now, what happens in the stampede? गर्दीच्या वेळेस काय होतं नेमकं? Stampedes can occur due to various reasons. Some of the hazards include overcapacity. Suppose the people is the place is who can accommodate only 1,000 people, and 10,000 people if they crowd, disaster is going to happen. Poor crowd control. If you don't have places to hold the people and allow all the people to rush at the place, then if there is a poor crowd control, this type of disaster is going to happen. Then proper planning is not there. No clear exit. If only inlet is there and only one exit is there, naturally there will be a stampede. Then the narrow space, when people are coming in a large number, you have to have the broad roads. Okay. And the bulky or the dangerous structures. Only poor barricades will not be sufficient. So all these reasons can be there for the disaster to take place. What happens in the stampede? You know, the dangers of compressive asphyxia happens. This is a technical word, medical term. That is गुदमरणे ज्याला आपण ज्याला मराठीत म्हणू. Okay. What happens if there is no supply of fresh air? You feel suffocated. This suffocation is the main cause of death in the stampede. While many people may fall and get trampled in the stampede, the most common cause of death is compressive asphyxia, a dangerous condition that happens when breathing is prevented by external pressure on the body. Humans take oxygen and then they release the what we call carbon dioxide through the nostrils. एकच नाक आहे, त्याच्यातूनच तुम्ही आतमध्ये श्वास घेता, you inhale and you exhale also. Inhale fresh air, exhale used, that is the carbon dioxide. Now, if this system is in danger, people are bound to suffocate. Now, what happens if the people are stuck up? एकाला एक जर भिडले लोक, okay, then they limit the diaphragm, the major muscle responsible for the respiration. श्वासोश्वास करण्यासाठी जी एक प्रकारची यंत्रणा असते, तिच्यावर जर दाब पडला, okay, contracting and flattening, relaxing and tightening. If this is not happening in your what you call nostrils, then it is very difficult. You cannot breathe at all. When this happens, it can quickly lead to a compressive asphyxia with a buildup of carbon dioxide. Asha veles, if you don't get fresh oxygen, a carbon dioxide builds and beyond a lethal level, and then it can cause a death. Now, it was observed that women are more susceptible to such type of deaths in stampede. स्त्रियांचा जास्त त्याच्यामध्ये क्रमांक लागतो, अधिक संख्येने स्त्रिया याच्यामध्ये दगावतात whenever this happens. This is because of some arrangement in their body, because they have smaller frames and more body mass concentrated in the upper chest. So if the pressure is exerted there during a stampede, the impact can be detrimental for women. So this is one of the reason. Okay. Now this is some help how you can survive the people. Okay. There is a first aid such as cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR in short form. It's a medical term. So those who are having a trouble in breathing, so this type of first aid you have to use, but you have to learn this technique. Okay. So those who are trained to save the people by this technique, they should come forward and use this CPR technique for a person who are, say, unconscious. If they are dead, you cannot do anything. But before death, if they are unconscious due to poor supply of oxygen, you have to try this CPR. Okay. So this is what you have to use. But unless you are trained, you should not do that. Proper techniques for chest compression. Okay. So that at least some oxygen you can get. Okay. So this will be taught by the experts to the volunteers taking actual course for the disaster management. Now, there are some tips. You should not go without any forecast. So if there is a rain or cyclone, suddenly people try to rush to shelter and stampede takes place at any place. So you have to be very cautious that you should not go in such a place without any kind of study of the forecast. Then you don't go alone. You should have some friends with you to look after for each other. Then wear bright colored cloths because you should be visible from a long distance if there is any mission. Make a mental note of all exits. Always keep a watch where are exits and be closer to the exit all the time. Because what happens if you are far away from the exit, it is very difficult to go to the exit and you will be caught in the stampede. And as far as possible, try to hold the railings or the support. If the railings are suppose metallic, then it is easier. But if they are also very delicate and collapsible, there is no point. So all these are some simple tips to save from the stampedes. Now, after stampede, let us go to the our Indian background. What is the condition of vulnerability to disasters? If you consider on a large scale of India, 57% of the land is vulnerable to the earthquakes. Earthquake cannot be taking place at any place. There are some zones. So this 57% of the land is under the shadow of earthquakes. The 12% is vulnerable to the severe earthquakes. Suppose India is having 100%. Out of that 12% land is under severe threat of earthquake. They are very sensitive zones. Then 68% land is vulnerable to drought. Drought is often taking place. Shortage of food, shortage of water. Okay. But now this can be treated by government services. Trains can come with food grains. Trains can come with the sufficient water. But 68% of the land is still vulnerable. 12% land is vulnerable to floods. Whereas there are some places where the floods often come. 8% of the land of India is vulnerable to cyclones. Apart from natural disasters, some cities, you can call them as mega cities in India, are also vulnerable to chemical, industrial disasters and man-made disasters. Okay. Now let us talk something about the earthquake. Now, what is an earthquake? Bhukamp, Dharanikamp. Okay. In Urdu it is called Jaljala. An earthquake is a sudden movement or displacement of the ground produced by abrupt displacement of rock masses, usually within the upper 15 to 20 kilometers of the earth crust. Now, if the earthquake takes place, okay, the tremors can disrupt the things on the surface of the earth. And because of the tremors, a land can move from one place to another place. After earthquake, the situation is different than what it was earlier. Most of the earthquakes result from the movement of one rock mass passed to another in response to tectonic forces. Now, tectonics is a branch where the earth crust and the earth, which is divided into various plates, how they move. Okay, these plates they move, that is called tectonic movement. So while moving these plates, if there is slight movement of these plates, earthquakes take place. So whenever they are locked, the energy is built up, and when they slide, the energy is released, earthquake takes place. When the stress build-up exceeds the strength of the rock breaks along with pre-existing or new fracture plane called fault. Okay. Fault is the definition in the earthquake science. This causes vibration, also known as seismic waves. Okay. They travel in all directions from the area of fracture. Now there is another, there are another two terms related to the earthquake. One is called epicenter, another is called focus. Focus is inside the earth, some 15 to 20, 25, 30 kilometers below the surface of the earth. That is the exact point where the disturbance starts. And the epicenter is the place on the surface of the earth above the focus. Okay. So that is called the epicenter. Epicenter is on the surface of the earth. And below that, there is a focus. The focus is in the earth. Epicenter is on the surface of the earth. That is the difference between the epicenter and the focus. How the epicenter is determined, there are some techniques by seismology and all that. We will not go into details of that. Earthquake scale, magnitude, and intensity. Now there is a measurement. You can always talk in terms of some type of unit by which what is the magnitude of the earthquake. And they are symbolized by earthquake magnitude M and intensity I. There are two different things. What is magnitude? Earthquake magnitude is the measure of the strength of an earthquake or the strain energy released by it. It is calculated from the instrument record made by the event on a calibrated seismograph. Seismograph is the instrument to measure the magnitude of an earthquake. Here is the diagram of focus and the epicenter. Now focus is below the surface of the earth at some distance, but exactly on its upper side, on the surface of the earth, it is called the epicenter. Okay. Now intensity. Intensity is not always the circular thing. You may think that you calculate just the focus, draw some circles of some radius, and then the complete area is having the same intensity. No, it is not happening. Earthquake intensity is a measure of the effects of an earthquake at a particular place intensify the determined from observations of an earthquake's effect on people, structure, and earth surface. Actually, people go in that area, survey the damage, and from that they prepare the map which shows the intensity of an earthquake. Now, there are two major scales on which this earthquake is measured. That is called Mercalli scale and Richter scale. Now, Mercalli scale is of scientific interest. You should not go into that. But Richter scale is a common thought. You might have heard many times that the earthquake of 4 Richter scale or 5 or 6.7 or 7.8. Okay. Generally, 9 to 10 means maximum, lot of damage. And 3 to 4 means sometimes the earthquake below 3 magnitude Richter scale is unnoticed also. But above 3, effects can be felt. Now, impact of the earthquake, the damage is from death of injury to human beings, mostly due to the collapse of houses, buildings, and other structures. They also bring loss to property. This is the Indian map where the zones are shown. The dark color part is of the earthquake-prone areas. Northeast part, all 7 sisters, Meghalaya, Tripura, Manipur, and then the Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, all they are sensitive to the high risk of earthquakes. Then some part of Bihar, some part of Uttar Pradesh, some part above Delhi, some part in the J&K, and especially Kutch area. Okay, they are highly prone, and it is a dangerous zone for the earthquakes. So this is the map, and all white areas are almost free from the earthquake. Now, after earthquakes, there are various tips how to save in the earthquakes, and I will not go into the management of the earthquake disasters. There are experts. They know, they train the people that you hide under the table or you have something like this. Don't use staircases. And there are many such suggestions from the experts. Now let us go to the another type of disaster called tsunamis. Tsunami is a series of ocean waves which are generally generated in the ocean and usually caused by undersea earthquake. If there is an earthquake in the ocean, okay, or sometimes a volcanic activity, then it can cause a tsunami. In the deep ocean and in the tsunami waves propagate with a speed exceeding 800 kilometers per hour. So the wave height is of the less than 3 meters, which pass unnoticed beneath a ship at a sea. When the tsunami approaches a shallow water, okay, so whenever it is deep in the sea, tsunami is not troublesome. But as soon as they come to the shore, where the depth of the water is not that high, it is shallow water. Okay, then especially along the coast, they are slowed, causing their length to shorten and the height to rise. So what happens? This tsunami waves, the height is very large and they can be dangerous. Sometimes as high as 30 meters. So the water wall of 30-meter height, say roughly 100 feet height, is approaching toward the coast. You can understand what disaster it can cause. When they break, they often destroy pillars, buildings, beaches, and human life. And this is not the complete story. When it is reflected back from the coast, it washes away what it has devastated. So the reflected tsunami and the incident tsunami, both they are dangerous. Okay. Now, what way the earthquakes and tsunamis are related to each other? The earthquake under the ocean, okay, has the potential to form a tsunami. Not every earthquake will cause a tsunami, but beyond certain magnitude, okay, and where it is taking place, at what length that focus is inside this, will decide the fate of the tsunami. Now, the earthquake must vertically displace overlying water, or extensional or compressional faults not transformed. Now, if the faults move like this, as shown in the diagram, the waters on the surface can move, and therefore the tsunamis are generated. Now, how the damage can be done, it depends upon the topography of the shore. Waves tend to rise to a greater height along the gently sloping shores, and it depends upon how the shore is there. Tsunami is a Japanese word, okay, and these waves are just like tidal waves. भरती आणि ओहोटीच्या वेळेस जशा लाटा येतात, okay, especially भरतीच्या वेळेस. So it pushes the water towards the coast, and in OT, the same water is again brought back. So this tsunamis, they cause a lot of danger, and there are some historical events that tsunamis have devastated some of the areas in a very dangerous way. For example, in 1755, okay, Lisbon and the Portugal, there was a tsunami. You have to notice where the Portugal is there from the map. You know Portugal. It is a western part of the Spain, and tens and thousands of Portuguese who survived the great 1755 Lisbon earthquake were killed by tsunami, which is followed by a few minutes later. Earlier there was an earthquake. Due to earthquake, many people died, and soon after earthquake, okay, the tsunami came, and all the people in the coastal areas, they died to a large extent. Okay, the earthquake followed by tsunami and fires killed so many. It is a joint, say, disaster. Earthquake plus tsunami plus the fire caught by these earthquakes. So you can understand. 2,75,000 people reported they are dead. So this was one of the largest tsunami, come earthquake, come fire, disaster, which was there in the Portugal. In 1883, there was again a disaster in Indonesia. There, large tsunamis, one after another, came, and the height of the tsunami waves of the order of 40 meters, roughly more than 120 feet and above. So you can understand what must be the magnitude of the disaster. Then in 1960, Chile is the country in the South America, longest country, and this Chile country is a part of South American continent. There, the Chilean tsunami was there in 1960, and the earthquake prior to that was of 9.5 magnitude. Okay, and this devastated a lot of people, and then the as a result they came. Maybe the largest in this century, 20th century. The number of people killed by the earthquake and subsequent tsunami estimated more than this. Okay. Now in 2004, India also experienced a tsunami disaster, especially in the southern part of the India, eastern coast. The magnitude was of 9.0 of the Indian Ocean earthquake, which had its epicenter in Sumatra. Sumatra is an island in the East Indies archipelago, and Sumatra, Java, Borneo, Malaya, Indonesia, this is the archipelago. And it triggered a series of tsunamis on 26th December 2004, and it killed more than, 3 lakh people. Okay. So this tsunami killed people over an area ranging from Indonesia, Thailand, northwest coast of Malaysia to thousands of kilometers away in Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, Maldives, even as far as Somalia and Eastern Africa. So this was the one of the very strong earthquake took place, which generated a tsunami. This earthquake was of the order of 9.0. So you can see that tsunami is the epicenter is near Sumatra, where you can see the concentric circles. And in the right-hand side diagrams, you can see how the waves are generated and splashing the southern part, east coast of the India around Chennai. And then they are going to even Africa. So this was the dangerous tsunami which India experienced. And what are the impacts of that? So the economic impact on coastal fishing. Okay. So you can say the coastal fishing, okay, is under danger. Communities and fisher port, because they live along the coast and tsunami is the most hazardous for them. Some of the poorest have devastating impact. They will be killed or their property will be damaged. Tourism industry, nobody will go in the region where this tsunami occurred because there is nothing to see later, devastated. Then drinking water supplies and farm fields were contaminated because the uh, marine water, which is not drinkable, potable, this water fills up all the resources, fresh water, and you cannot drink that water. And even in the agricultural land, this water surges. Industrial infrastructure of the coastal belts, they were affected, which had adverse economic effects both at local and national levels. Now, the Indian Ocean tsunamis has caused enormous environmental impact. Not only the loss of property and life, but environmental impact is there, which is more hazardous for the coming generation. Severe damage has been inflicted on ecosystems such as mangroves, coral reefs, forests, coastal wetlands, animal and plant biodiversity, and groundwater. All they are affected by the tsunamis. The agricultural land of Andaman and Nicobar Islands have been destroyed due to institution of salt waters. Okay. Effect is being caused by poisoning of fresh water supplies and soil by salt water infiltration. So what happens if the water infiltrates? Your land is no more productive because you cannot get your crops in the salty water. And the water is for the agriculture required is a fresh water. So this is a great loss. Okay. Now Japan has built up a wall 5 meter high in front of populated coastal areas. At least some part will be damaged because 5 meters means sufficient height, 15 feet high. So at least some part of the tsunami will be stopped there. So they have built up a wall around some of the populated coastal areas, especially some cities. Other localities have built floodgates and channels to redirect the water from incoming tsunami. So some people, they have built up some system by which the water should not come into the city. Then the mangrove forest, Ivaranchi Jungle, those who are doing botany, they know what is the mangrove forest. Act as a barrier to break the force of tsunami waves. Very important role of mangroves along the coast. If you wanted to see the mangroves, you go to any coastal area, especially in the Konkan area or in the east. If you go near Annamalai, you can have a very nice tour to the mangrove forest. They have labeled also some of the tree species there which grow in the mangrove forest. plantation of mangrove should be undertaken. Now, Pacific Ocean countries have tsunami warning system which advise people where to run in the event of incoming tsunami because some time lapse is there. And once from the satellite data, if you get then warning that the tsunami is coming, you can warn the people. At least they can save their lives, not the property. Okay. These are the plants which can come under the classification of mangroves. यांची जी झाड असतात रोप ते वरच तयार होतात फळ अँड व्हेन इट ड्रॉप्स डाऊन अशा रीतीनं खाली पडते ते इन दिस वे इट फॉल्स इन दी व्हॉट यू कॉल दलदलीचा जो भाग असतो देअर इट सर्व्हाइव्स सो दी प्लांट इज देअर and the lower part of the roots is sunk inside the mud. So you can have this type of, but what happens due to pressure? People are selling this type of lands on the coasts to many people, those who can afford. And therefore people are cutting this and they are clearing the mangroves around Bombay. And then there are some people, they are fighting, but once it is occupied by the rich people, you are killing the natural cover, okay, mangrove forests. The root structure is also very different. It's not a simple single root. They have such type of multiple roots. And this will break the tsunami wave. So that is the importance of these mangroves. Especially in Andaman Nicobar, if you go, these mangrove forests are there. They are saving these islands, in fact. Okay. In the aftermath of the tsunami disaster, Indian government and United Nations have started working on the Indian Ocean tsunami warning systems. So we are taking the help of our satellite systems and trying to judge the phenomena prior to actual damage. So people are also educated how to be safe from the tsunamis. That comes in their disaster management. Now come to another disaster that is of volcano. Okay. Now, what do you mean by the volcanic say disaster? Jwalamukhi it is called. Volcano. It's Jwalamukhi. And when it explodes, a lot of disastrous effects can take place. Volcano is a special kind of mountain that builds itself when we see that the structure of the earth and the outer crust is made up of rocks underneath. The crust is the mantle and the deeper layers are very hot. So there are pockets of molten rock inside the earth because temperature as you go down will increase because the core of the earth is very hot. In the upper layers, there are some packets where some material is melted. The gas pushes these melted rocks called magma. So as long as this material is inside the earth, that is called magma, molten rock because of the heat of the earth, magma. And once the magma comes out of the ground, whenever the volcano blasts, it finds the place where it is thin cover and the magma suddenly comes out. So it erupts. And then whatever liquid is coming out, same magma is named as lava. As long as it is inside, it is called magma. Once this magma comes on the surface of the earth, after the volcano erupts, it is called lava. As the lava pours out of the earth, okay, it piles up into the shape of a cone. And the more lava comes out, the higher and wider the volcano goes. Therefore, it is a conical shape. And there is a crater form. So this is a volcanic crater. There is a small orifice from which the lava is coming. And you know, this lava is molten, means if it is coming on the residential area, it will create problem. So here you can see the gases and the stones and everything coming out forcibly from the volcano. It starts erupting, and this person was given the journalist, technical journalist, prize was given for photographing this lava, because this is dangerous, because if the velocity of that lava is more than that of a car, that car will be engulfed in the lava. So it is dangerous to be very close to the lava. So you can see this is a rare photograph. Okay. And once the lava start erupting, the whole environment is polluted. All particles in the air will be contaminated, and they can deposit even in few thousand kilometers away. Some airports in the Europe, they were closed whenever such type of things happen. Okay. So this volcanic eruption is there, and the frequency of the eruption also varies. Some volcanoes are almost continuously erupting the materials, while some erupt of intervals of hundreds of thousands of years. There are several thousand volcanoes in this world. Most of them, they are extinct. They cannot come. They cannot erupt later. They do not erupt anymore. But there are some volcanoes which are under dormant condition, and we don't know the exact date on which they will be live again. So when they are live, it is, so to say, the dormant volcano is active, which means that although they are silent at this moment, they may erupt at any moment. Okay, only 500 active volcanoes are there in the world. Okay. Now, they are related to the settings of the Earth, tectonic plate settings. They are heavily concentrated at the interplate margins. Many of the world's most active volcanoes, they are known at Fujiyama in Japan, that is Mount Fuji, okay, which is supposed to be a very pious mountains, and Japanese worship them. You can see pictures on the internet, Mount Fuji. So it is actually a volcano. Then Mayon in Philippines, Mount Hood in Oregon, are of these types. They are active, means they are sometimes dormant and sometimes they can be erupting. Rift volcanoes occur when the tectonic plates are diverging. They are less explosive and more effusive when they occur in the deep ocean floors. Some volcanoes, which are on the borders of these tectonic plates and which are in the ocean, they cannot be so dangerous. Now, hotspot volcanoes are located in the middle of the tectonic plates. Always they are not on the border of the tectonic plates. For example, our Killari earthquake, which took place near Latur. Okay. This is not coming on in a boundary of the tectonic plate. It is in the center of the tectonic plate. So, where the upper crust is weak, it allows molten material to penetrate from the Earth's interior. The Hawaii Islands is an example. So it was actually an earthquake, not an volcano. But earthquake and volcanoes, sometimes they occur in the middle plates of these tectonic activities. So this is related to tectonic plates. Now, now there are methods, there are ways volcanoes kill people by hot debris, mud flows, due to the rupturing of crater lakes, melting of snow or ice emission of poisonous and suffocating gases, and fast moving lava flows. Other risks from volcanoes are explosion near or beneath the ocean, causing tsunamis and earthquakes. So they are related to each other. These are the geological hazards. Sometimes the volcano also can cause tremors and may cause some earthquake. They can trigger earthquakes. So this is something about the volcanoes. How it is monitored? Say monitoring of the shape of volcano by surveying changes in the sleepiness of the slope. Then seismic monitoring. on-spot measurement of temperature, composition, and what is the emission products, okay, from the volcano. So mitigation is possible when the occurrence of volcanic eruption is predicted. People may be relocated at safer place. So if the scientific techniques are available to say study the volcano, if they are monitoring, if there are small changes, and if you are continuously monitoring the area, then some small changes also can give you the idea that the volcano may take place. But exactly it is not, this science is not yet developed to that extent by which you can predict at what time volcano or the earthquake is taking place. Okay. It is just an approximation. The volcano may come next year, or the earthquake may come within the 5 years, or something like that. But you cannot tell exactly on this date there will be an earthquake. Okay. So this science is yet to be developed. Now this, if there is a change in the slope under the gravitational influence, then there is a, what to say, group of environmental hazards, especially in the mountainous terrain. Mass movement hazards are caused largely by volume of rocks mixed with earth, snow, or ice that moves at a high velocity under the impetus of gravity. Depending on the dominant material, they are known as rockfall, landslides, okay, avalanches. All these things, they are related to the volcano and the earthquake. Avalanche means what? A snow is a very fragile material, and the layers go on depositing, then there will be a huge mountain of this snow. And even if you fire a bullet from a gun, that sound is sufficient for collapsing this loosely bound material of snow. That is called avalanche. This avalanche also is very dangerous. So sometimes this avalanche formation and the avalanche, say, explosion may be related to these volcanic activities. Okay. Now, let us talk something about the what are the hazards. The mass movements may be triggered by either seismic activity or by atmospheric events. Different type of landslides move down slope at a wide range speeds. These more rapidly moving landslides may also pose hazards to the life because they can destroy dwellings or damage roads quickly and with little water. Now we are slowly coming to the landslide. Okay, what happens in the landslide? Now this landslide is, we have stopped something about that volcano. Now let us consider another disaster happening due to the landslide. Now we don't experience landslide in Maharashtra to that extent because Sahyadri is a mountain which is not a mountain like Himalayas. Himalayas is a very fragile things happen there. Pakka nahi. On the stones, black stones in the Sahyadri, very tightly packed. So this mountain is slightly compact compared to the Himalayas. So we don't experience landslides to that extent. But in Himalayas, this is common. So the roads, whenever the landslide takes place, by chance, if you are there, if your car comes under the landslide, it will be damaged. Or otherwise, the road is blocked. Okay. All slides involve the failure of earth materials, okay, under shear stress. The elements that affect the slope stability are numerous. They include. So the landslide happens whenever there is a slopy part of the mountain. So the upper part collapses. That is called a landslide. It depends upon so many things. Lithology. This includes the competition, fabric texture, or other attributes that influences the physical or chemical behavior of the rock or soil. So how their layers are there, what is the fabric? It depends upon that. Lithology of the upper part, crust. Structure of the rocks and soil. It includes the inhomogeneity and discontinuity in rocks or soils. Then the hydrology and the climatology. Water is the main factor in the slope instability. Now, to certain extent, the vegetation, if the vegetation is there, it may stop sometimes the landslide. It will give the stability. If there is no vegetation, then the debris can come down. Vibrations from the earthquakes, blasting machineries, weathering, and other physical chemical action may increase the strength of rock and soil. The most common trigger event leading to mass movements is an increase in water content of slope materials resulting from prolonged rainfall. Now, heavy damage to the property as well as loss of life. That is but natural. Suppose if you have a village under any mountain and if there is a rainfall, suddenly the upper part may collapse and the complete village may be buried. This happened in Maharashtra. You know, there was one accident called Malin is the name of that village. Couple of years ago, complete village was buried due to the landslide. Okay. So landslide is a major chronic problem affecting roads, dams, other structures in all hilly ranges. Especially this is in the mountainous area. They cause traffic disruption. If the complete, say, what you call material debris comes on the road is blocked. So once the landslide activity is stopped, then you have to bring the machineries, okay, and then you have to clear the road and take care that again the landslide is completely stopped, and then the traffic will start. So by that time the road is blocked up to that time. So extensive damages to the dwelling, agricultural lands, orchards, forests, etc., resulting in loss of life as well as of property. So this is what happens due to the landslide. Now, let us talk something about the another disaster called cyclone. You know, cyclone, Wadal. You don't have much idea because we in the middle part of the country don't experience cyclones to that extent compared to the people living on the coasts. Okay. And the cyclone on the coastal area can be very hazardous because the winds come from the ocean side. There is nothing to disturb them. If they come on the earth, then the structures and the trees and the forests, they lower down the intensity of the cyclones. So coastal areas are always prone to disasters from the cyclone. Now, humans can make their environment more prone to floods and droughts by cyclone just happen. Tropical cyclones are severe storms of marine origin. They originate from the ocean. They create coastal hazards because most of the storms decay rapidly over land area. Once they hit the coast, then the intensity dies down. But on the coastal area, the impact is very, very disastrous. The term tropical cyclone is used in the Indian Oceans, Bay of Bengal, and Australian waters. In this area, if such type of movement is there, it is called a tropical cyclone. The same storms are called hurricane in the Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico, and in the Atlantic Ocean. Now, the cyclone takes place in the, say, near the South America, that is the Caribbean archipelago, West Indies. You know, there is a Jamaica and all that, Trinidad and all these West Indies islands. In that area, the cyclones are known as hurricanes. the Gulf of Mexico, Atlanta, okay, that area, and the Atlantic Ocean. In the Northwest Pacific, in the vicinity of the Philippines and Japan, they are called typhoons. Cyclones in the Japanese area and in the Philippines, they are known as typhoons. They don't call it cyclone. So these are the different names. For example, here in the right hand side, middle part, East Indies archipelago. Okay. In the near Japan and in China and Philippines, they are called typhoons. And in the Indian part, which is not shown here, they are called cyclones. Okay, some part of the Australia comes under that. Even in the eastern part of the Africa, it is called cyclone. But if you go to the West Indies archipelago, near the northeast part of the Latin America or the South America, they are called hurricanes. Okay. So in the American part, they are called hurricanes. So this is the simulation of the cyclones in the different parts of the globe. Now, these typical belts of the cyclones which move in this, they are shown here. Always cyclones, generally majority of the cyclones in India, they come from the uh, southeast area, that is from the Bay of Bengal. Rarely some cyclones come in the Arabian Sea. Sometimes they touch to the borders of Gujarat and they move towards the Oman and the Gulf. Okay, so more probability of the cyclones is to the east coast of the India, especially Tamil Nadu, sometimes Orissa and Bengal. And sometimes a rare possibility is to the Kutch, Gujarat. Fortunately, Bombay, Maharashtra, we don't experience cyclones to that extent. Neither the west coast of Kerala and Karnataka they experience. Rare, very rare. Now, this is just a picture of the cyclone showing the different parts. The pink part is called the central active part, and the other parts surrounding that is lower and lower intensity. And nowadays, they are studied widely with the help of satellites and all that. The central part of the cyclone, swirling movement, is called the eye of the cyclone. That is called bullseye, like those who have done in NCC, they know whenever you go for firing, the target is bullseye, central part. Similarly, this is the central part of the cyclone is called the eye. And this is, you can see the map of India, western part. This
पार्टिसिपेंट 10 मिनट का भी टी ब्रेक रहेगा, उसके बाद अगला सेशन स्टार्ट होगा।
सर तुम्ही स्क्रीन शेअर करा तुमची सर. सर माईक अनम्यूट करून शेअर करा सर स्क्रीन, काही इश्यू नाही. हॅलो. सर ते तुमचं पॉवर पॉईंट शेअर करा सर. मीटिंग दिसते, याला मिनिमाइज करा सर. तुमचं पॉवर पॉईंट शेअर करा सर.
मॅडम.
येस सर, दिसते पीपीटी.
Hello? Hello? आवाज येतो का? हॅलो. Hello? 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 हॅलो. हा कोणी नाही पार्टिसिपेंट पैकी कोणी हॅलो म्हणायला पाहिजे. हा बर बर. हा मी सुरू करू का आता चालेल. हा हा. हॅलो. देर वॉज ए टेम्पररी डिस्टर्बन्स.
सर
एम आय
तुमचा आवाज
ऑडिबल? हॅलो.
येस येस सर येस 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 सर
आर यू गेटिंग माय साऊंड? ऐकायला येतं
येस
का?
सर
हा ओके.
हो सर आवाज येतोय.
Ha, very sorry for the disturbance and kindly excuse me for the electricity disturbance. Okay. So I was talking something about the cyclones. Now, if you talk about the cyclones, here is the wind map of India. Throughout India, winds are not of the same type. So it depends upon the winds also. Now, with the help of satellites, you can monitor the direction of any cyclone. If the cyclone is proceeding in a particular direction, you can warn the people that this is the possibility of hitting the cyclone at this place, and all the collectors and the NGOs in that region, they go for this disaster management, rehabilitate or move the people, then see that the electricity supply is there, food storage is there, and the medicines and all these things are there. Therefore, in recent years, with the help of satellites, we could reduce the say loss of people by the cyclone. So the satellite technology and the other communication technologies and the disaster management technologies have proven their effectiveness in managing the cyclones. Okay. Now cyclones can be traced very easily, and you can see that there are various maps how the cyclone is traced. Now, these cyclones, they have uh, greatest threat in at least in the Indian subcontinent to the densely populated deltas. Okay. Now Bangladesh always faces this possibility more of the cyclone hitting the cyclone. Then the Japanese and Philippines and the Caribbean islands also, they face this probability of hitting the cyclones. Okay. Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic coastlines in the USA, they are vulnerable for these cyclones. Now, this is the physics behind that, the why the cyclone is generated, how the warm air rises and in the another air takes place, and how the cyclone moves. Okay, the cyclone is always assisted with the heavy rainfall, and this rainfall also can be a troublesome, and the eye how it moves, it depends upon all that. So cyclones are very dangerous, and but it can be tackled with proper disaster management. The cyclones always have the speeds of the order of 100 to 200 kilometers, that is per hour, and the winds are accompanied by very heavy rains. They are called torrential rains. Okay, and whenever the cyclones they hit the island or hit the land, that is called a landfall. Okay, so there are various effects of the cyclones. It depends upon the strength, gustiness, and their persistence, how long the cyclone will be there. Large casualties, considerable damage to the property and agricultural crops. Destruction is confined to the coastal districts, and maximum destruction is being within 100 to 150 kilometers from the center of the cyclone. So, fierce winds, heavy torrential rain, these are the after effects of the cyclone. And tropical cyclone is now monitored with the help of satellites, and less loss of property and loss of life is there. Now, uh, now with the help of all communication technologies and with the television and the all these radios, people are made aware of the cyclone direction, areas in which there will be landfall. Okay, and with the help of that, it is easier to measure. mitigate the effects of the cyclone. Now there are some shelter reservoirs along the coastal areas, and in some areas forests are being grown so that the intensity of the cyclone will be reduced. So people are motivated, okay, not to leave their places and be at the proper, take care of their property and all the life. And all these things are there for the cyclone technology. Now let us go to the another hazard that is called the floods. Now the flooding is most common when there is a monsoon, especially in India, because in the monsoon there can be a heavy pour down, and it will be one of the environmental hazard when there is a heavy rainfall. Okay, and it depends upon the geographical location and how the river valley system is there along the river, which are the cities and the places where people live. So they will be threatened by these floods. So there are some benefits of floods also, and there can be bad effects of these floods also. So there are necessary part of almost river ecosystem, wetland habitats, fertility of the soils by depositing the layers of the salt and flushing salts, provide water for natural irrigation and for the fisheries and so on. So flood zone, which area is more prone to the floods, especially in the northeast part, I'm sorry, in the northern part of India, in the region of the rivers originating from the Himalayas, you can have floods often, and therefore the area of Ganga and Yamuna, and then some rivers from Nepal, they come, and in Bihar, every year the rivers change their course, and sometimes what happens because of that, Bihar is under the pressure, under the threat of the floods. Okay, and in Punjab also, you have some areas where you can have. In Gujarat also, some part near to the ocean, there is a uh, danger of flood. And some part of the eastern part along the coasts, where the rivers join, there is a danger of uh, floods. Now, whenever the flood comes suddenly, something can happen. Example, there was a water storage in above the what you call in that Rishikesh area. Okay, and then suddenly the water rushed away, and you had a very bad experience at Kedarnath. That one stone was there behind the main temple of Kedarnath, which saved that temple. But there was a heavy flooding in Kedarnath. Now, sometimes these floods, they bring lot of nutrient-rich soil taken from one place and they deposit at other place. This soil is many times very, very, say, fertile. And therefore, the Nile River in Egypt, since it has no such steep slope, every year flood brings a nutrient-rich soil. And in that soil, a cotton grows, and therefore the Egyptian cotton is supposed to be the top grade. That is the effect of the bringing of nutrient-rich silt from one place to another by the help of floods. So floods are always there, but sometimes they are hazards, sometimes they are productive also. Okay. Now, uh, the disaster management for the flood is there because it is a gradual process and you can rehabilitate or can move the people from one place to another. And and they will be again dying down within a short time, within a day or two. So it is not a very long, living phenomenon. So you can monitor with the help of NGOs and people. Now, uh, the urbanization is causing sometimes a problem. People are building their houses in the mainstream Okay. When the river is dry, there is no problem. But as soon as the floods come, there is a problem. So unless and until people are not allowed to make constructions in the river zone, okay, this problem will not be mitigated. So this is one of the main cause of the floods and so on. Now, this is why the floods come and destroy, because people have cut the trees in the areas where from this water comes. Therefore, there is no resistance to the rain. And when the rain comes, it brings out the soil, and the soil comes along with that. River beds are full with silt, and therefore the depth of water capacity of a river is reduced. So the water spreads. So afforestation is required. Unfortunately, people are not taking care of the planting the trees, and therefore, because of deforestation, the floods are a severe threat. Okay, and therefore, it is one of the great cause of disaster. Okay. Now, areas where the population density is very high, and if there is a flood, then there will be a problem. Then uh, livestock density, sometimes areas where the vegetation is particularly sensitive, areas where there are acute shortage of fuel, arid and semi-arid areas where the rainfall is limited, mountain slopes and the river basin where the soil easily runs off. This is the reason why the floods are more disastrous. Now in Kerala, in recent years, there was a very heavy flooding. You can see this is the picture taken by NASA from the space. So before flood and after flood, you can see all blue areas is heavily flooded, and there was a havoc. Okay. Now, what happens that sometimes some interesting funny things also happen. People after receding these floods, they found some typical fish. Okay. That fish is known as Arpaima fish. And in from the Chalkudi River in the Thrissur district, this fish was caught. This fish is not a native of this area, Kerala. Arpaima is a large fish which is native of the Amazon. How this fish was found after the flood in this Kerala, that was a mystery. And people don't know why this fish should come. So Arpaima fish has 5 feet length, which is a native Amazon, and this was found in Kerala. So this sometimes such funny things happen, and I don't know the reason why such type of things are seen. Sometimes piranhas also a very sawtooth type of teeth structure is there, and they can reduce any creature to skeleton if the shoal of piranha comes there. Now this piranha also once it was found in the Kerala. Okay. So why such type of fish which are the native of Amazon or the South America, they are seen here. Now, near the Vembanad Lake, this gur alligator was also found. And you will find this gur is the residence or the native of the North America. Okay. So African catfish is also found. So there are different species. They were found after the flood is receding, and these are some interesting phenomena with the flood in Kerala. So these are the African catfish. Okay, so maybe the fisheries experts they can find the reason why the native of one country is found in another country, 1,000 kilometers away. One of the reason that the flooding is there, that whatever natural water courses are there, they are blocked by builders for constructing the houses. So the effect you can see, this was a natural thing. The builder lobby, they have constructed houses, okay, by shutting them off. And you will find therefore prone to the water level. And therefore, it is a cartoon that a house permitting, construction permitting authority should also have such type of things, that if you have small ats at your house like a ship, okay, so in case of flooding is there, you can, in emergency, you can use this. This is a cartoon, but this speaks the reality of this. Now, next hazard is of drought. Drought is a period of condition of unusually dry weather within a geographic area where rainfall is normally present. Normally, this year, suppose the rain is regular, 40 inches, 30 inches. But if the rainfall is not at all there, then if there is no precipitation, no rainfall, then the drought comes out, because no crops will come. And therefore, people will be suffering from a food shortage, because the foods depend upon the water. And if there is a water shortage, no crops will grow. So, what is the degree of water shortage? Okay. And then you'll have to fight this, mitigate this drought. So, if the precipitation depends upon the sun heat and water vapor carried by the winds, then you have to worry for this geographical phenomena. So, this people are trying to give the solution for that. But nowadays, the food can be transferred from one place to another. Fodder also can be brought, because cattle also need fodder, grass, to keep them alive. So you have to be very careful, and management should be there to bring the food at subsidized rate from other places where there is no drought. So normally, so this time, these water reservoirs or the dams, they can come to your rescue. And whenever there is a possibility of giving water through these dams, the water will be released to the dams, and partially the problem will be mitigated. Okay. Now, these effects of the droughts are there. The crops are reduced, and the productivity is not there. Water levels are reduced. Even drinking water problem is there. Fire hazards are there, because everything is hot. Okay. Though fire hazards also grow when there is a drought. And you have to worry for the livestock, and the wildlife also is in danger. So in the forest also, you have to keep water holes, watered properly. Then the crop productivity is reduced, and increased prices. So always, whenever there is a shortage, naturally, the shopkeepers will take the benefit of this. They raise the prices, and common man, they will not get the crops or the grains, food grains. So you have to be very careful in handling the uh, man-made such disasters. Now, disaster management comes here whenever it is a man-made. So, global warming is another issue, that whenever the percentage of carbon dioxide is more, slowly that global warming is coming, and the ice caps of the glaciers are melting down. So everything is in danger. So the water levels of the oceans are rising. So the greenhouse gases, okay, like NO2, NO3, carbon fluoro, this one, okay, CFC, all these, they are the culprits, and you have to monitor the production of CO. See what is happening. These forests, they are absorbing CO2 and releasing oxygen. So it is the sink for the carbon dioxide. Unfortunately, if you cut the forests, deforestation is there, then the CO2 will not be absorbed, and the oxygen which is to be released will be reduced. So the deforestation helps to increase the greenhouse effect. So one has to fight with that, make the people more alert about the greenhouse gases and the deforestation. On the other hand, afforestation, planting trees should be given more preference as such. Now, industrial and these technological disasters are there, which will contain toxic effects, railroad accidents, air accidents, the fires in the industry, and the fires in the high-rise buildings, war and military activities, toxic wastes, and so on. If you go for the industrial and technological disasters, mainly they are due to the human failures. If the negligence or if the proper attention is not given or human mistakes are there, it will lead to a human disaster. Sometimes equipment failure, sometimes sabotage of terror or terrorism. Okay, defective design and inadequate management. All these things, they add to the technological and industrial disasters. Now, you know that in 1984 December, there was one chemical disaster in Bhopal in the Union Carbide industry, and they have killed more than 2,000 people. Fortunately, some trains, those who were stationed at Bhopal station while passing by, they also suffered, but when the train moved, somehow the oxygen was there and they somehow saved. But it was also a problem for the passengers in the train. So many people are still suffering from the gas leak from this Union Carbide. A lot of politics is there. A very large number of chemicals are used in chemical industries, and if any chemical plant explodes, all these things they come in air, and therefore fertilizer plants or the paints or the petrochemicals or the pesticides, textiles, they have to be monitored properly for smooth running, and there should not be any mishap or sabotage in the plant. So sometimes the crackers industries, many people they die because always the crackers which are used for the entertainment and lighting in Diwali and in festival periods, those people are at the risk, those who work in the cracker factories. Okay. So whenever there is an explosion, people will die. So one has to take care of fire, toxic leakages, explosion, and corrosion. So uh, always there is a danger in manufacturing process or processing, transportation, distribution, and storage. So at each stage, there is a danger. So these environmental impacts are there. So damage to the property and human life is a well known. Slow inhalation and small doses over a long period of time may cause occupational diseases. Workers working in the asbestos or silica factory using industry are affected by a particular disease. Then those who are working in the battery manufacturing are affected by the lead poisoning, which is damages the kidneys. Okay. And therefore, you have to take proper care of that. Here is the issue of management. Government of India has prepared a guidelines for management of hazardous chemicals. Unfortunately, they are not properly monitored, or people take bribe and give the false certificates, and that is always a game for the life of people. So there is a constitution of state and district level crisis groups, formulation of an on-site plans for industrial units, and also preparation of on off-site plans in case of accident to take emergency action. So there are some rules and regulations, but they are not followed strictly. Now, large part of India depends upon the traffic, either by road or by rail. So accidents on this rail or road sometimes can create a disaster, because a rail accident means many people will be under the threat. Indian Railway cover about 63,000 kilometer route and runs 10,000 trains a day on an average, and about 10 million passengers travel every day. So this is a voluminous percentage of population which is under the threat of rail accidents. So accidents interrupt the train's traffic, and moreover, if there is a accident, are roughly 300 accidents every year. Okay, so you can see that population pressure, how the rails are overcrowded. This is what happens in the Kumbh also. You have seen on the lot of rush in the trains. And then if the proper arrangement is not done, very difficult to manage the accidents. The train disasters are a result of a range of factors such as human error. There can be some communication, some signal problem if it is mishandled. Okay, some two trains can come on the same track and then they can be there. Then sometimes old things and ill maintenance of the bridges or rail tracks, they can also add to the accidents. Then sometimes natural calamities, especially trains going to Goan side or to the Konkan side. Konkan railway is always disrupted because suddenly the soil comes, landslide. Okay. So this what you have to address carefully. And if you talk about the percentage of the accidents other than the railway, there can be passengers vehicles. You know, in Samruddhi Mahamarg, always there is a accident. People drive more than the recommended speed and they can't control. And sometimes the traffic rules are not obeyed. People leave their trucks in between without any kind of sign. So the cars go and dash them. Okay, usual. So with urban traffic also there can be accidents and they are to be addressed properly. Although they are not disasters at large scale, but especially whenever aeroplane or a ship or a train comes under this threat, there can be a large calamity. And people don't obey, they go on increasing the speed and ultimately they die. Okay. So this is what the things required. Although there are many acts and many monitoring systems, and still there are accidents. There are. Then fires which broke in the high-rise buildings is always a threat because unless and until the fire brigade can reach that place, very difficult. Because sometimes in the cities, the fire brigade vehicle cannot reach that place. Okay, and then there is a problem. So the construction permission of newly developed areas, this fire brigade permission is required, and the road should be wide enough that the vehicles can go through that different narrow gullies. Okay, and first, people should be trained to cut off the electricities and not to use the stairs and supply of oxygens and CO2 gas cylinders to extinguish that. All these things, people should be made aware of this. So, you know, in Delhi, there was one cinema theater and there was a fire and some 60 people, they died in 1997. So this was a defective that there was no proper exit. So permission should be given and more education should be given. For example, if the children are given the proper training, a small girl in Bombay, when there was a fire in some Mumbai area, she was just 10 years old, but she was taught in the class how to give hint to the people if there is any accident and so on. So that girl saved the life of so many people. So this is something about the fires. Now a little bit about the chemical weapons. Chemical weapons on the Gulf War leave about the nuclear warfare, but even whenever the chemical used in the bomb, they are bomb, you will have a lot of trouble for the people because this chemical can be very lethal and the health of the people will be, besides the loss of property, life loss also will be there. So chemical warfare, bacterial warfare, fungal agents, they're all gift of newly designed weapons and they can cause problems. You know, there was one anthrax, which was a biological weapon to fight this terrorism and all that. So all these things cause the environmental effects of war. People know there are bad effects, but still they don't stop the wars. They go on creating problems for others. So contamination of land and air, water by the waste by the wastes of people and machines, discarded explosives, chemical and biological weapons are potential sources of contamination. Not only people die when they bomb, after that also there are some effects of war. So the management needs to be given more attention to prevent the damage to the ecosystems. Then civilians also should be given proper training about this. It is not that only government should take part, and people also should help the government to this society. The population pressure is always there. Population has tripled since 1900, and fossil fuels are there. Then the acid rains, and then the waste management. All this comes, they are adding to the disasters. So the management needs education and awareness for school children, adult boys, common man, citizens. Adopting clean technology, that is very important. You should not pollute the atmosphere. Then the environmental impact assessment before setting up any project, that is very important. Then the proper waste handling of the management and strict laws on regulation, that where we are missing. So all these things in the management is they are the prerequisites of a disaster-free society. So this is all about today's lecture, and I hope I have given sufficient information about all these hazards and disasters. And in my next lecture, which is probably scheduled on 12th, I will be talking something about the nuclear disaster, which is very, very important, because every country, those who have nuclear weapons, they threat other countries that will bomb you nuclear. Yeah, and if there is a nuclear warfare, finish. Okay. So that nuclear disaster is very important for me, that I will be discussing in my next lecture, and how this management, different schemes, okay, different teams, where from which funding and which agencies are involved in disaster management, uh, legal side, and all this we will be discussing in my next lecture. I think I will be stopping here. Thank you for giving the patience listening. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And I know if I know the answers, I will be glad to give you. So thank you very much again. Thank you, Ram Chavan. Thank you, Gaurav, and all other participants, those who are participating. I hope all of you like the information which I have given. Thank you. Thank you very much. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. हा संपलं काय त्यांना डिफिकल्टी असलं तर विचारा मग काय. हा. हो हो. Hello? 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 Hello?
Hello? Yes,
Hello?
sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yes.
Can I start with a vote of thanks?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Um, I am here for proposing the vote of thanks. As William Arthur Ward has rightly said, feeling gratitude and expressing it is like a wrapping a present and not giving it. So, sir, today I take this opportunity to express my gratitude and appreciation for the kind of informative lecture we had under HRDC Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar Marathwada University. And we simply have been blessed to have you, sir, who is a very learned person. I was just listening to the introduction part of yours, who had nearly 62 radio talks and articles. I think, sir, you regularly write in Lok Satta, because I read that also. So I feel, sir, we had a great session today, which started with, that first slide that attracted me was there was a professor teaching the people who are there in the class, but then they're not paying attention. And this is the reality of us, sir. We are here, we know many things, but when it comes to, taking some action, we are just not concerned with. Your take on various disasters through the first session was excellent. What I like personally had been the kind of photographs you have used to display the the disasters intensity, and we cannot do anything in front of that. That was something, that struck me, and I think that was a brilliant, excellent presentation. And in the second session also, sir, what we were looking into the kind of man-made disaster. We are only people who are creating disaster, but then some photographs which you highlighted of that girl, I remember just now, who had that sense of uh, some belief that, yeah, she can save her family from the fire. So truly, your session had been enriching, and I think when we leave from this session, we are going to have, some sense toward preventing ourselves during the disaster. So thank you very much, sir. It has been kind of you that you have spared your time, and I mean, we are enriched by the kind of information you have shared with us, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Welcome. Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you all. Yes, welcome.